and that's the protection that Acrobat can need in them team fights.
I mean, if you are Acrobat, you just need a kitten to meow for you on Discord, man. And at that point, you might as well be able to win, or at least that is the confidence that Team Tayson is walking in with for our first best of one. But over on Turkish Delights, a few picks went their way. Vi, very standard jungler, being able to provide that guaranteed single target lockdown, which is very easy combo for the Ziggs to follow up on with his full burst combo. But the Mordekaiser, that is one of the champions that you were alluding to that could be picked up here today.
I think the interesting part about Turkish Delight is they pick the Ziggs, which I feel like is going to be in the duo lane with Creed. Whether that goes in the mid lane or bot lane, we'll have to wait and see. And normally when you have that AP duo lane where you're not playing a marksman, you normally like to play these AD bruisers instead, like the Riven, like the Aatrox, like the Ambessa that we just spoke about, for example. But now they're going for this double AP with the Ziggs and the Mordekaiser. Sometimes that can be a little bit difficult because some of the magic resist items that you can buy in this game in Wild Rift, like the Maw of Malmortius, for example, the Wit's End for the Kaiser, is going to be so powerful.
Curious to see that Turkish Delights are bringing out more tanks on the side of Team Tayson. It alludes to me that they are suspecting Carlo is trying to pick a tank in the top lane for himself. Normally, you mentioned that you would mostly see that archetype in the support role these days and allowing the Baron laner to have more of a strong bruiser or split pusher. But we already mentioned before in yesterday's stream that while Poppy is technically a tank, has enough burst damage to kind of scrap with some of those melee bruisers. Meanwhile, on Team Tayson's side, they are looking at support options as well between the Senna and the Bard bans, and the Rakan is the pick of choice for Zine.
Yep, very big playmaking support, Zine. He loves the Rakan. He loves to roam around, go for these playmaking styles, and I think it's really going to be about the synergy that Creed and Bambi have. It's going to be really important to see whether Zine, can be the one to follow Bambi around. Of course, Bambi not playing a more carry style, it's more of a supporter style with Vi, but as you mentioned already, Rafa, sometimes in Wild Rift, you just go for full damage, which is what Vi can definitely go for. On the other side, we have Team Tayson taking the Ambessa, which is most likely going to be in one of the sides, and Singed.
Yeah!
The last
is this
pick.
the
Okay.
Singed mid potentially, Stuart? I remember Singed mid back in the day
wow.
when we were casting in. And this is just an evolution, and one of the things that you had highlighted as a potential coming to light for the meta today, the fact that you just send your duo lane mid lane, and then on both of your side lanes, you send strong, decent bruisers. Singed fits that archetype.
Exactly that. So you're on one side you have Singed and Bessa, no mages there. On the other side you have the Yone and the Mordekaiser. So it's all really about the side lanes and what pressure that you can give in the side lanes to make sure that you can push into either side of the map. And then what will happen is on the bot side you'll see it's going to be the Ziggs and Rakan against Kai'Sa Yuumi. So the push out potential is going to be there for the Ziggs. He's going to be able to push out and potentially allow Zine and allow the Rakan to roam around. But a very exciting draft to see how things are going to be going here in the first day.
We'll see how much leaks come through on today's best of one. I'm so excited. Team Tayson and Turkish Delights have rounded up their final compositions, and based on what we got locked in, I would have to say that, Stuart, that you were pretty on the money with where or what to expect. But there are definitely a couple of curveballs. But here we go, y'all. It is time to get into Wild Rift for our first match between Team Tayson from South Korea and Turkish Delights from Turkey.
Oh, this is where the fun begins, Rafa. I'm really excited for this. Best of ones. Every team is going to be playing against each other today. And that's the most exciting thing, is we get to see so many different players come together, so many different play styles, so many different strategies that come together. And that's really where the creativity is going to come in for these teams. Again, for Turkish Delight, they come in with more of the wave clear option, more of the safer picks, like the Ziggs, for example. And then you have Zine and Bambi on these playmaking champions, like the Rakan, like the Vi. And then it's all going to be Acrobat for Team Tayson. I think we'll have to keep an eye on him throughout the day for Team Tayson to see if Acrobat can step up and perform and kind of be the carry for his team.
Yeah, one of the things that still makes me smile is seeing how some of the overall compositional setups for these teams isn't that much different than when we last saw some international competition over in 2022. And the idea is that you have your strongest backliner, usually one, and then a bunch of bruisers, a bunch of tanks, all trying to protect it in a fortress-style setup here. So it means that 5-on-5s are going to be quite explosive and really come down to who can better protect their king in the middle of that fortress.
Yeah. Who can protect their carry, who can be the ones to step up to the play in the end for today. As we see, it's a bit of exchange at the moment in the mid lane. You're seeing that Singed in the mid lane can be a bit of a nuisance. Going to be coming up against the Yone. No surprises too far. I mean, I guess the big surprise is that the bot lane is actually going down to the bot lane and is not going to the mid lane.
Okay.
So again, you might see this a little bit. Again, I think it's kind of back and forth to figure out what these teams kind of want to go for, where their bot lane kind of relies in the end. Acrobat taken a little bit low early on. This is a 4 versus 4 in this bot side.
Bit of a tussle already in the bottom river. Just trying to fight for control of
Flash
the crab.
forward.
KDU was looking for the fling and gets it. The flash comes through a little too late. Paciencia goes down for first blood. South Korea is the first one to strike in our best of 1.
Yeah, incredible play there. And you get the kill onto Acrobat. This is exactly what we were talking about. You can feed the Acrobat. You can allow him to get ahead early on. And sometimes this Kai'Sa can struggle a little bit in the early stages. But if she can get a little bit of gold, if she can get that first item, get the evolved to start things rolling, then it's going to allow her to carry a little bit later on. You can see there's even an invade happening as well. Flash forward from the Kai'Sa. Creed goes down. 2 kills for Acrobat. And that is not what Turkish Delight wanted early on.
I mean, listen, if I'm Kai'Sa and I see a free kill on my screen, I want that gold
Double
every single day.
knock-up.
But the counterplay from Zeen's Rakan finds that Gren entrance and gets one back for Turkish Delights as the action continues. Bambi hits level 5, goes for the cease and desist, gets the shutdown onto Acrobat's Kai'Sa, but at the cost of his own life.
And it seems like the action doesn't really stop, to be fair. We thought all the action was going to come into play for the AAA ramp, but the action is carrying on to the 5v5 Rift at the same time with so much fighting happening. And that all was over a Skull Crab as well. Everyone was just fighting over Skull Crab, 4 versus 4.
Crabs are serious business here in Wild Rift, Stu. I'll have you know. If I don't get it as a
They're very
jungler,
important.
yes, I'm ready to FF if I don't get my crab. I'm just saying that. It's Turkish Delights able to somewhat equalize the gold. A lot of their advantage is on Bambi's Vi, which doesn't surprise us knowing how Turkish Delights want to pivot their strength in this composition.
Picking up the Trinity Force first for Bambi, just going to be clearing through the jungle for now. A few pings going down to the bottom side just to make sure that they are aware that there is a potential of a dive happening down here. But as I mentioned already, great start for Acrobat. Does actually decide to go for boots first, so he's not rushing that first item to try and get that evolved first ability to start things off. Talk about the differences between, you know, Wild Rift and PC. And Wild Rift, you just need to complete items for Kai'Sa to get her evolves, and it makes it a lot more simpler, a lot more easier to understand, and it means that it gets a pretty good start around here to see, you know, if Acrobat can kind of start to, you know, carry on going.
Yeah. No, I get you. One of the things I wanted to point out for any of our viewers here, if you are new to Wild Rift, that boot choice picked up by the Nocturne over on Team Tayson, that is a boot choice that gives you extra armor penetration. So this really signifies that this Nocturne is going for the one-shot potential. He is trying to blow up one particular carry when he goes in with that paranoia.
Yeah, he's making sure that he can burst pretty much anyone. I think most of the time you will be focusing onto that Ziggs as well, trying to make sure that you can get onto the backline. And that's one of the reasons why Nocturne is still very popular, even after the changes and even after the style of making sure that you get like enough as well to make sure that it's enough damage in the end, but still, oh, okay, cease and desist down to the bottom side.
Lost Chapter already used. Here comes the rest of the cavalry from the side of Team Tayson.
Bambi's in the back.
And Bambi is doing major damage, looking for the cat as well. Already takes them down. Acrobat and Harang biting the dust there. At least for the side of Team Tayson, RGC is able to answer one kill back. But Bambi is leaving his mark here on the Wild Rift.
Yeah, doing an incredible job. Diving straight onto the back line. Nocturne trying to do the same thing, but unfortunately wasn't able to pick up any kills. So it was a 2-for-1 trade overall for the side of Turkish Delight. About 1,000 gold lead as well for Team Tayson, but Bambi needs to just keep on focusing around Acrobat. You can see that Acrobat has now moved over to the mid lane just to try and get a little bit more priority in this mid and try and make sure that he can keep this mid lane roaming as we see the objectives will be spawning very, very soon.
Yep, we've got 15
there
seconds,
go.
and
Engage
Turkish
again.
Delights, if they find this big pick, it can lead to easily an ensemble takeover, eliminating Acrobat from the Rift. Looks like Hara Harong was able to make it out alive, but no Acrobat means that it's going to be a lot more difficult for Team Tayson to try and take control of the river for the ensemble.
And you can see the focus is just going to be on Acrobat this entire time, as the Yumi is going to be trying to go in here using the ultimate, trying to make sure that he can do enough damage onto Nocturne. Huge fight happening, and Besser is onto the back line.
Oh boy, Death Realm was already used. Massive knockup with the public execution from Carol, but it goes a little too deep. Gets taken out by Creed Ziggs, blown to smithereens. Here comes another massive knockup as Zine is buying space with the Recon, and now Paciencia cannot get the job done as Acrobat was blinking on 200 HP, but barely survives, and somehow Team Tayson wrestled control of the ensemble away from Turkish Delights.
Yeah, Turkish Delight was trying to get advantage there because Acrobat was dead, and Bambi goes in again. The ensemble does go over to the Nocturne, but Bambi gets one kill onto the Kai'Sa. They get another kill onto the Nocturne, so that is 2 kills. They can move over to the Drake if they want to, but the ensemble goes over to Team Tayson, and another death over to Acrobat. 4 deaths. I mean, we talk about focusing as, oh, there's another kill. Big mistake there.
KDU's got to be a little bit too careful. He did have some backup on Carol's and Bessa with the Yumi attached, just not able to close the distance in time to find some revenge kills back onto Turkish Delight. And for the most part, Stuart, time to zoom out a bit. Dragon is still available for the taking, but neither teams are really prioritizing it for the time being. First item spikes have already come through, and it's a clear indication of where power is going to lie for the next couple of minutes here in the Rift.
Yeah, exactly that. One item's completely, completed over across the map. Looks like Team Tayson is going to be the ones to take over the Dragon in the end. Normally this is like a second priority for both teams. Normally that ensemble is the one that's prioritized, just to try and take one, potentially even 2 towers. You can see the ensemble has not been put down yet. You can see that the Nocturne RGC still has the ensemble, available for him. Beyond one item spikes, you see the Trinity Force over onto the Vi, already building towards that Death Stance. Mordekaiser with the Rift Maker, but every single time you can see that Bambi is just focusing around the Acrobat. Everywhere the Acrobat goes, Bambi is there, and he is ready to go in with his ultimate and try his best to shut down Kai'Sa. But I think the longer this game goes, the harder it's going to be, because you can already see that Yumi has completed that Veil Enchant, which is going to stop the knock-up from the Vi.
Going to be crucial as long as they can get the correct timing on that to give as much space to Acrobat as possible. Relying only on Flash Cleanse as his summoner spells of choice. Cannot cleanse a knockup. Can try and cleanse a charm, though, from Zine's Recon if he ever does get caught by the engage. Looking forward. We don't have other objectives spawning for any time soon. Team Tayson were able to pick up a free Dragon just because they had control of the bottom side of the map. Bambi and Zine, though, making their way to the top side of the map now. Yeah,
both of them roaming again. We talked about the junglers and supports roaming together. Unfortunately, knockup doesn't land onto the Zine, but tries to use the charm instead. But there's so much mobility on this Ambessa, but a pullback from the Mordekaiser. Will it be enough? It will be. Killing spree for Bambi. 6 kills for him. Again, the player that we were talking about is going to lead the charge for Turkish Delight, and maybe even play into the bot side. Not going to be able to pick up the kill on the Singe, but does blow his flash in the end.
You know what? We'll take that. Hang on. Mid lane action counter response from Team Tayson, able to blow up the first turret in this game.
And the Ziggs, you need to be careful in that mid lane, because you know that you're playing on the kind of, I say weak side. You're playing on the weak lane, really, in mid lane, because you know that Zine and Bambi is rotating up the top side. So if you're Ziggs there, you can't stay underneath that tower. There's so much dive with the Nocturne, the Yumi, and the Kai'Sa. So you just need to sit back and just give up the tower in the end. It would have been a great trade for Turkish Delight overall, but 1-for-1 in the end. You can see the cams as well on the bottom right. Zine just being very vocal, trying his best to try and lead his team forwards.
Yeah, there's so many things that have to be conscious about. The fact that Paranoia comes down, you lose all vision of being able to identify where your teammates are, but they're just going to go dive past the turret in the mid lane. They don't get any kills off of it, but they've done their job. They force them away, defending that turret in the mid lane, and ensures that Turkish Delights have more map control.
Yeah, you can see that as soon as Bambi gets the opportunity, he's going to try and go in, but he has to be so careful because, as you mentioned, of the cleanse and of that Veil enchant as well. As soon as both of them are up, it becomes so difficult for that Vi to jump in. You kind of need that little bit of follow-up afterwards. Hopefully for the likes of the Yone can follow up afterwards. It's all about getting that timing right for Turkish Delights, with Bambi going in with the ultimate, with the Yone ultimate on top of that as well, and trying to find that chain crowd control to try and shut this Kai'Sa down.
Yeah, just taking a quick glance at where everyone's gold is at the moment. There's a big gap in the mid lane at the moment. Paciencia not only able to pick up a few kills for himself, but also getting a lot of side lane farm, whereas KDU on this Singe, very similar to how Singe used to play in the past, he's more of a playmaker. He's not necessarily a champion that split pushes all game, maybe later on once they feel like they need him to get some resources under his belt, but this really is a champion that wants to pop the Ghost, pop the Flash, or the Hex Flash, use the Phase Rush to get into play, and just look for that Flash fling.
And luckily, this is not the Singe rework that we saw on day one. And there was a time we talk about the past in Wild Rift and celebrating 5 years. There was a time where Singe got reworked, and he was 60% win rate in every single role.
Yeah.
Mid lane, jungle, top lane, even support. Luckily, he's not that strong anymore, but as you mentioned, that more playmaking style with the rework that came in for Singe this year, where his third ability now works as a dash. There's a dive onto top sides.
Paciencia tries to use the Fate Seal to escape, but cannot get through the likes of RGC. But now that the Nocturne has showed himself, that's easy lockdown for Bambi and the rest of Turkish Delights. The counter response is massive. They find Acrobat and eliminate RGC off the Rift.
Yeah, and the Yuumi is going to be ultimate here from the Mordekaiser, and that's going to be another kill. So 3 kills, over for Turkish Delight. The Yone does drop down, but this could be the opportunity to turn towards the Baron. Turkish Delight finds the opportunity in the side lane. Bit of an overextension from the Kai'Sa and the Nocturne.
And it's crucial timing for Turkish Delight to make that play just as the Baron spawns. Now, with the Baron buff on their side, it is going to give them a massive window to deal insane damage to all the remaining structures on the side of Team Taeson.
See Team Taeson as a bit of an extra little bit of spice with the Dragon going over. The Infernal Dragon does go over to Team Taeson, so they are 1 Dragon away from that Soul, as the ultimate does come on through from the Bambi. Again, they're trying to dive onto the Ambessa, but he's very hard to kill, does go down at the end, and Bambi just keeps on going.
Bambi is building a lethality item for his 3rd spike. This guy knows that he is the one with the most gold, and instead of trying to prioritize defensive itemization for himself, he's trying to look for bursts. He's making sure that his lethal window is as high as possible so that when he ults one target, that target is gone.
I think he wants to make sure that he gets the anti-shield, he gets the Serpent's Fang to make sure that when he dives onto the Kai'Sa, when all the shields come out, that all gets reduced. Like it's really important to make sure that you get the anti-heal, you get the anti-shield. Ziggs has the early anti-heal. He's also going for the Trident, which is also, there you go, it just got completed. Trident, again, another anti-shield item. So again, all this focus for Turkish Delight is just focused around targeting the Kai'Sa, making sure to take her down, and making sure that she doesn't get enough heals and shields under her belt to keep her alive.
Man, I wish we had Trident in League. Because anytime there is an obnoxious amount of shielding, I'm looking at you, Seraphine, and we have only magic damage dealers, and my 180 damage assassin doesn't want to build Serpent's Fang, I'm just like, well, GG.
GG, the game's over.
Go next. At least you can split the burden between multiple people. But it's just so funny to see that Creed is taking more of a backseat instead of a main damage role. He is just there for utility and ensuring that the rest of his team have an easier job of assassinating their targets.
And I think that's why he went for something like the Ziggs. He didn't go for like these highly skilled, AD carries that he can maybe picked up. Bambi going really deep under these 3 towers.
Oh no!
Bambi, that might be a little bit too far.
Lost Chapter and the healing from Yuumi at least
Yone
provides Acrobat some reprieve, and here comes the counter response. KDU finds his moment knowing that Yone had no other plays to make, able to isolate Varus in the Baron lane as well. The Mordekaiser blocks, and now Acrobat is firing on all cylinders. This is his moment to step up and shine. No other threats can deter him now. Turkish Delights fall, and Team Taeson have the momentum on their side.
Huge mistake for Bambi. It looks like he was trying to again focus onto the Kai'Sa, but he was able to flash away and escape. And sometimes with the Vi, when you use the ultimate, you should know that you're going to get followed. You've got to keep on following through the flashes, through the dashes. Goes right into the base base of Team Taeson, and they use that as an opportunity. They're like, hey, there's no one to focus this Kai'Sa anymore. Yone ulti is down. So that was the time for Acrobat to flash in and get his opportunity to shine.
One mistake can be so game-breaking, even if you were in the lead, just like Turkish Delights. Remember, it was them that punished Team Taeson, that gave them the Baron and allowed them to have that window to push into the base. They managed to take multiple turrets outside of the base itself, but didn't quite break into their fortress. And Team Taeson, being able to hold on, now have the opportunity to strike back, and it's Turkish Delights who have to be careful with their next move.
Turkish Delight still has a 2,000 gold lead, but really at this point in the game, the 2,000 gold lead isn't going to be really that important. You really have to look at the items that are being completed across the board. Kai'Sa now has 3 items, so that's all the abilities evolved now for the Kai'Sa. Going for a more on-hit build, understanding that he's against a more tankier composition with the likes of the Vi, the Mordekaiser, and the Rakan. But look, they're trying to trap in the Baron Bush. They're just going to rush it.
They're going to rip it. I don't think Team Taeson having a clue. They're going to slowly walk in, allowing other members. Bambi pulls the trigger on the trap, looking for KDU. Tries to look for Mbessa next, but they have to peel on back. Acrobat is keeping his distance, and now he's ready to unload. Here comes the auto attacks. Here comes the dashes. The killer instinct allows him to pivot beautifully. And the rest of Turkish Delight do not stand a chance against South Korea's best. Acrobat leading the charge alongside the rest of Team Taeson. They're going to push into the base. This could be game.
This could be game number 1 and the best of 1. The first of today as Acrobat, the shining star for South Korea. Turkish Lights couldn't shut him down, and Acrobat came here with a reason and came here with a focus. And that's to win the first game of the day.
Team Taeson deal first blood in our single round robin of the creator track. And even though Turkish Delights, they had great moments and were able to try and push their lead as much as they could, it was that one mistake, Stuart, the over-aggression dive.